Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
You may have heard about the Equifax breach, but WOUB has just learned almost half of all Ohioans may be impacted. Good evening, I'm Michaela Marshall. Today I spoke with Ohio Attorney General spokesperson Dan Tierney about the data breach, who says they're still investigating the numbers Equifax provided them. Take a listen.
Preliminary information that we're receiving, the estimate is that roughly 5 million Ohioans may be impacted by the Equifax breach.
We discovered that attackers had gained unauthorized access to certain Equifax data files. We acted immediately to stop the intrusion. We promptly engaged a leading cybersecurity firm which has been conducting a comprehensive forensic review to determine the scope of the intrusion.
Everybody should be concerned about their credit, and we'd advise that of all Ohioans any day of the year, but in the wake of a breach, people should be extra vigilant, especially if they've checked and it's indicated that they may be susceptible to this breach from Equifax.
First, check to see if your personal information was impacted by going to www.equifaxsecurity2017.com. He encourages those who are affected to check your credit report at www.annualcreditreport.com. Then place an initial fraud alert on your credit report. Everyone should also consider placing a security freeze on your credit report. We'll keep you updated as this story develops, and you can find more information and helpful tips at woub.org. Athens High School class of 2017 earned the district's highest ACT scores in the past 5 years. Athens City Schools Superintendent Todd Gibbs says that the graduating class scored above the state average by almost 3 points. In comparison, Athens class of 2013 scored an average score of 24.1. Locals continue to send help to hurricane victims. 2 students at Federal Hocking High School are collecting donations all week for victims of Hurricane Harvey. Senior Ryan Skelliott and junior Audrey Blake head up the project called Stuff the Bus. Community members are asked to donate with the idea of filling up one of the district's school buses. WOUB plans to follow this project all week. We've had a beautiful couple of days, but today we did see some of the effects of Hurricane Irma with a few scattered showers. But now right here in Athens, it is about 69 degrees with winds coming in from the northeast at 5 miles per hour, and our dew point is about 56 degrees. And moving on, our regional temperatures tonight will be about 70 here in Athens, 73 in Marietta, 72 in New Lexington, and 69 in Newark. And we will see those temperatures, around those 70s today. Thanks, Brooke. So what can we look forward to for this weekend? Well, like I said, we're in the mid 60s to upper 70s, but this weekend we will see some warmer temperatures going up into the 80s. Well, that sounds great. Thanks so much, Brooke. An Ohio killer is scheduled to die tomorrow morning. Gary Otey is convicted of killing 2 people in 1992. Today, Otey was moved to the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville. Otey's final meal will be a mushroom and Swiss cheese hamburger, a quart of Heath Bar ice cream, and a slice of banana cream pie. The state plans on using lethal drugs to execute the 45-year-old. The Ohio Supreme Court decided apologies issued by a medical provider can no longer be used in a lawsuit against the provider, even if it includes an admission of liability. Justice Sharon Kennedy says that under Ohio law, the apology may acknowledge low standards of care without it being used as evidence later in the case. The case was regarding a woman of Southern Ohio who died after trying to commit suicide in a hospital. The Ohio Supreme Court will hear dispute over the closure of Toledo's last abortion clinic, Capital Care. The Ohio Department of Health ordered the clinic to close in 2014 due to lack of patient transfer agreements with the local hospital. The clinic remains open as of right now. West Virginia landowners are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to review a case's reversal by West Virginia's highest court. The reversal ruled that natural gas companies are allowed to deduct post-production costs from royalty payments to landowners for mineral rights. In their petition, landowners say the reversal could have been useful for energy companies that newly elected Justice Beth Walker's husband owns stock in. The issue is whether Walker should have recused herself from the case. 5 drug makers are asking a judge to dismiss a lawsuit filed by Ohio Attorney General that claims they helped create the state's addictions epidemic. Attorney General Mike DeWine accuses the companies of misleading patients about the dangers of painkillers. The companies argue DeWine failed to prove their actions caused harm. Coming up, the White House names a permanent communications director. Plus, we'll take a look at what's left after Hurricane Irma.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Irma has left a trail of destruction throughout the Southeast. The death toll is at least 5 people in the continental U.S. and dozens in the Caribbean. FEMA's initial estimate is 25% of the Keys homes have been destroyed, while 65% have major damage. The storm has been downgraded from a tropical storm to a tropical depression, but its effects are still being felt across the South.
Flash floods, power outages, and downed trees, just some of the damage caused across the South by the wrath of Irma.
My windows broke on the back side here, and for about a couple hours, I thought the house might come down, and it got scary.
The full extent of the devastation is still being determined. Authorities are working to clear roads and bridges and restore power to millions across the region.
Most people are without power. So most stores are closed right now. There's a gas shortage right now.
Irma also left flooding in major southern cities like Savannah, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, and Charleston, South Carolina. Officials urging evacuees to be patient and wait to return when there is formal approval.
Working hard to get the power back on in the state, but 2/3 of our homes are without power right now.
The Florida Keys, where Irma made landfall as a Category 4 storm, were especially hard hit, with roofs ripped off and debris scattered throughout the streets. This is the first time on record that the continental U.S. has been hit by 2 Category 4 hurricanes in the same year.
The IRS announced today it's giving extensions to certain quarterly taxpayers impacted by Hurricane Irma. The automatic relief is for individuals and businesses in FEMA designated disaster areas. And White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says President Trump will travel to Florida on Thursday.
The President and the entire administration continue to monitor the situation in Puerto Rico, the United States Virgin Islands, Florida, Texas, and all areas affected by Hurricanes Irma and Harvey.
Sanders also says FEMA Administrator Long traveled to the affected areas today. President Trump held a meeting with Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak today. All while Trump's Justice Department is investigating Razak, it involves billions of dollars in assets the U.S. says were acquired using a government fund and laundered through American firms. Razak, who denies any wrongdoing, is up for re-election next year. For Razak, the White House visit was a chance to show critics back home he's still welcome in Washington. There's a new permanent White House communications director. The White House says Hope Hicks now holds the job on a permanent basis. Hicks was named interim communications director last month following the departure of Anthony Scaramucci. The 28-year-old is a longtime aide to President Trump and was one of the first staffers to join his presidential campaign. She also worked on several projects for the Trump Organization, including Ivanka Trump's fashion line. The American ambassador to the UN is calling the new UN sanctions levied against North Korea the strongest ever. The United Nations Security Council unanimously adopted a U.S.-drafted resolution to impose new sanctions on North Korea yesterday. The move comes just 1 week after the rogue nation carried out its sixth and largest nuclear test. Trump says that more sanctions will have to come.
We had a vote yesterday on sanctions. We think it's just another very small step, not a big deal. Rex and I were just discussing. Not big. I don't know if it has any impact, but certainly it was nice to get a 15-0 vote. But those sanctions are nothing compared to what ultimately will have to happen.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says Trump will take all steps to have a denuclearized Korean peninsula. And the North Korean crisis was the focus of a House Foreign Affairs hearing today. Lawmakers discussed ways to pressure North Korea to give up on its nuclear ambitions, including sanctions and diplomacy. Committee Chairman Ed Royce told lawmakers that pressure must be fully utilized to address the threat to the U.S. and its allies. Texas Senator Ted Cruz said today a staffing issue led to a pornographic video being liked by his Twitter account. Twitter users noticed yesterday the conservative Republican's account liked a tweet from an account titled Sexual Posts. The post had a porn video attached. Cruz's senior communications advisor, Catherine Frazier, tweeted, quote, "The offensive tweet posted on Ted Cruz's account earlier has been removed by staff and reported to Twitter." The Washington Post later reported Cruz told reporters, quote, "It was a staffing issue and it was inadvertent. It was a mistake. It was not a deliberate action." A study shows that sitting for long periods of time is really bad for your health, and it can affect when you die. That story's still ahead. And here's a look at what happened today in Wall Street.
Right now we're sitting in the mid-60s to 70s, but we will warm up this weekend. Stay tuned for your full forecast on Newswatch coming up next.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us. Ohio University
university students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, this is it. And she said, the tour's just started. I said, no, you don't understand. This is it.
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Brooke Davis. Now right here in Athens, we're sitting at 69 degrees with partly cloudy skies with winds coming in from the northeast at 5 miles per hour. Now taking a look at our regional temperatures, we are sitting at about 70 degrees here in Athens, 72 in New Lexington, and 70 in Cambridge, excuse me. Now moving on over to taking a look at today's almanac. Now our normal temperature is about 77 degrees, but today we are a bit under at 70. That's nowhere close to our record high that we hit in 1897 at 95 degrees. Now today's sunrise was around 7:07 this morning, and our sunset will be around 7:43 this afternoon. Taking a look at our precipcast, you can see a low pressure system is moving in, which will cause some lower temperatures and a little bit of rain, but I do have good news for you this weekend. But right now we're taking a look at our hour by hour. At midnight, we are going to drop down to about the 60s with mostly cloudy skies. And then at 3 a.m., we'll drop down just by 1 degree at 59. And at 6 a.m., we're not going to move in temperature wise, but we will have mostly cloudy skies. Now looking at our overnight lows around the region, we've got 60 here in Athens, 61 in Columbus, and 60 in Chillicothe. So we're all about the same temperature, and all around the region we will see some cloudy skies. But for our bus stop forecast, we will heat up to 75 degrees in the morning about 8 a.m. with some sunny skies, and we will have a light rain in the afternoon, but it shouldn't be anything too bad, kind of like today. Now for our highs tomorrow here in Athens, like I said, we'll get up to 75 degrees, 72 in Chillicothe, and 71 in Columbus with clear skies. Now for our 7-day forecast, we are going to heat up a little bit tomorrow at 75. And on Thursday, we'll drop down to 69 with a few scattered showers. Now Friday, we'll heat up to 77. And Saturday and Sunday, that'll be our highest temperatures of the week, and going into next week at 81 and 83. Now for Monday, we'll stay in the 80-degree range, but we will see some scattered showers. And for Tuesday, we'll drop down a little bit, but we will have sunny skies. Now back to you, Michaela.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the warm weekend. Thank you, Brooke. Now, you probably won't want to sit down for this next story. A new study shows that sitting for long periods of time can lead to an earlier death. The results were regardless of how much a person exercises. For an average of 4 years, researchers followed a population of 8,000 people older than 45. The study's lead author, Dr. Keith Diaz, said sitting for more than 60 minutes increased the risk of death. He recommended taking breaks more often by getting up and moving around. And keeping yourself healthy is not only the important thing. Working to maintain the health of the furrier members of your family can lead to a longer, happier life. In today's Health Minute, Andy Rose has tips for keeping your pets in the pink.
Regular doctor visits are important to maintaining good health, and the same goes for our pets. Health screenings and vaccinations can help prevent some life-threatening illnesses like Bordetella, better known as kennel cough, which is a respiratory disease that can affect both cats and dogs. Reports also show that an estimated 80% of dogs and 70% of cats show signs of dental disease by age 3, which can lead to loose teeth or even chronic pain. Getting your pet spayed or neutered can also lower the risk of certain cancers. Maintain a healthy weight. Feeding your dog table scraps may seem harmless, but overfeeding your pet can actually pose a serious threat. Having an overweight cat or dog comes with health risks like diabetes, arthritis, and even cancer. Another good reason to visit your vet is to find out exactly how many calories your pet needs on a daily basis to maintain a healthy weight and live longer. Provide an enriched environment. Diet and exercise go hand in hand, and it's a great way to keep your pets healthy. Taking Fido on daily walks or playtime at the dog park can help keep their weight in check and keep them entertained. For today's Health Minute, I'm Andy Rose.
All right, thanks, Andy. That's some great news for our pet lovers out there. And over to Eric Threet for sports.
Good evening, I'm Eric Threet II. A woman broadcasted a Monday night football game for the first time in NFL history. And the Indians, they're still cooking. Next on Newswatch. Thanks, Eric. Everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back, I'm Eric Threet II. The Cleveland Indians continue to beat everybody. Their win streak is up to 19 after shutting the Tigers out, winning 11-0 last night. It didn't take long for this game to get out of hand. The Indians cruised after 5 second-inning runs and a dominant pitching performance by Carlos Carrasco. He picked up his 15th win, delivering 6 innings and 9 strikeouts. Now what's crazy? These games have not been close. Since August 23rd, Cleveland has outscored their opponents 100 by 100 runs. And the Indians are at 19 wins in a row now, 2 wins away from holding the American League record, 3 from having the longest record in the Major League without ties. Their next game is in about 20 minutes, and the Indians will continue their series against the Tigers. Now, the Indians batted their way to a first place in the American League, and the men's golf team swung themselves to an 11th place finish in their first tournament. Tom Nettles finished strong, shooting 1 under in the final round, but was 1 over par for the tournament. And Brady Bowl is 3 strokes behind him. The women cracked the top 10 in their first tournament of the season, finishing 8th in the 2017 Redberg Invitational in Illinois. Nicole Smiley and Emily Hughes led the way for the Bobcats, finishing 22nd and tied for 26th respectively. Their next tournament is September 23rd and 24th, and that tournament will be hosted by Penn State. Ohio's soccer team, the ladies, they battled fellow Big Cat in the Kentucky Wildcats on Sunday. The Wildcats showed no love, rolling over the Bobcats 3-0. The Wildcats were always on offense, testing Bobcat goalies Aaron Burkett and Cindy Mulham. Kentucky outshot Ohio 19-6, and their dominance showed with the final score. Now, the Wildcats kicked their way to a victory as Monday Night Football kicked off. The NFL had their first woman call a game in Beth Mowins, but it was Adrian Peterson first. Sean Payton limited him in his return against his old team, and the Saints went on to lose. The Broncos, they looked like they were about to wipe the Chargers out, but the Chargers started to come back towards the end of the game, scoring 21 unanswered, but a blocked field goal saves the Broncos in the end. They go on to win 24-21. Now, Monday Night Football doubleheaders, they happen every season, but having 2 numbers retired does not. The Los Angeles Lakers will retire Kobe Bryant's number 8 and 24 in December. Bryant spent all of his 20 NBA seasons with the Lakers, 10 with number 8, 10 seasons with number 24, and he was an elite player during both tenures. He's 3rd on the all-time NBA scoring list, 18 All-Star appearances, 5 NBA championships, 2 Finals MVPs, and 1 MVP. Kobe is very deserving of having both his numbers retired. I'm Eric Threet II, and that's all I got for you with sports. Back to you, Michaela.
Thanks, Eric. Like so many in the Southeast, a pair of manatees were left in need of help in the wake of Hurricane Irma. Thankfully, some locals came to the rescue. Good Samaritans rescued a pair of manatees left stranded by Hurricane Irma. They discovered in a dried-up bay in Manatee County, Florida. At first, the group tried to move the beached mammals themselves, but they eventually received additional help from local wildlife officials. They dragged the manatees 100 yards to a nearby channel. And now a final look at weather.
To recap your weather report, now we are going to see lower 60s temperatures around the region. We've got 60 here in Athens, 60 in Chillicothe, and 61 in Ripley with partly cloudy skies. Now for your 7-day forecast, tomorrow we'll see temperatures in the mid-70s with a little bit of rain, and then Thursday we will drop down a little bit to 69 with a 60% chance of rain. But on Friday, we're going to see some higher temperatures up in the 70s with a 10% chance of rain with partly cloudy skies. But this weekend is really going to heat up into the 80s. And we are going to have some sunny skies then. Monday, we'll see a little bit more rain. And Tuesday, it'll be completely sunny skies. Back to you, Michaela.
All right, thank you, Brooke. Definitely looking forward to that warm weekend weather like I mentioned earlier. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Michaela Marshall. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find your news anytime at woub.org. Have a great night.
I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.